Hey everybody, this is Captain Kyle and I'm here with Mike Gregorek of Wizard World, and today we are going to be talking about the future of cons. I know we all miss them. I know I definitely miss them.
Yeah.
We've been having some virtual cons which do scratch some of the itch, but obviously not all of it. And so we're going to talk to Mike about how virtual cons have been going and where he sees the future of those. And we're also going to talk about physical cons when they come back, what the differences might be, and go from there. So welcome, Mike. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello, Kyle. It's always great to be on with you. I know we've had a relationship both in physical cons and now the virtual space. And we're a big fan of you and Fandom Spotlite. So thanks for having me.
Oh, you're going to make me blush. Yeah. For those who don't know, Wizard World has been doing these amazing virtual panels and been allowing Fandom Spotlight to republish those panels so that to get out to a larger audience. And it's been a great partnership, and we hope to continue to partner with Wizard World in the future and continue to do stuff with both virtual and physical cons as we did in the past. So where did the idea for these virtual panels come from? Was it just, was it you?
I mean, I was a part of the process very quickly. And it was we had our last physical convention last year in Cleveland, Ohio. I think it was March something, we had done New Orleans, Portland, Cleveland, and COVID hit, and there were actually some rumblings at the time when we were in Cleveland, like cases were starting to pop up. There started to be these pockets, and we were lucky, maybe that's the wrong word, but we were lucky in the sense that we didn't have another physical convention on the calendar until later. I think in like May, June was our next physical convention. And so we didn't have to cancel anything right up front, but we started to see that that's the way things were going. We're like, oh my gosh, like these physical large events with large groups of people are getting shut down and canceled and postponing. And so we had a bunch of actors already lined up and in the pipeline, for our physical conventions. And so we said, hey, listen, we don't think this is going to happen, but here's the deal. Like, what do you think about doing a online interview? And it all just came together really quickly in the moment, and we got very lucky, and we were very fortunate again to have that talent lined up, and then enough people on board that knew the tech sides of things that we were able to again pivot. The word pivot has become cliche over the last year, but really that's what happened. We pivoted super quickly. We're like, let's get as much as we can virtually in this time where we don't have physical cons lined up, or we were postponing them.
I can definitely see, since that Supernatural one, how you've actually kind of refined the process. But getting back to Cleveland, I was there in Cleveland with you guys.
Yeah.
And I remember we were supposed to watch the first episode of The Walking Dead, The World Beyond.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
And they were going to send someone from AMC on a plane with a handcuffed briefcase with the DVD or whatever in it, because they wouldn't trust anybody with it. And they were supposed to show it and premiere it there. And I was so looking forward to doing a governor review on it.
Yep.
And they said, we're not sending anyone because of COVID.
You joke, Kyle, but that was a crazy bunch of phone conversations that happened within like 48 hours of the weekend. We had actually put a lot of money into display, projector screens and a proper device for playing said file at like the highest quality and things. And this is not a knock on them. Again, they were going via health protocols at the time. But yeah, that was a huge deal. And that was the first big thing, like you pointed out, that made us realize, oh, things are changing right now. People are starting to have to make adjustments because that we had to cancel that event for that weekend. And that's when and that might've been it, to be honest. That might've been sort of the fire that started this idea that got talked about that whole weekend. We produced the physical panel the same way we would normally do it, but we were constantly meeting each other and being like, what do we do? We hear these rumblings, this AMC event got canceled. Like, we know things are going to get canceled. Like, how can we pivot? So it did start there and then became a series of then virtual meetings after that.
Now, when you came into the virtual world, I noticed at first you had a lot of people would it would be like immediately after the panel would be these one-on-one video chats and stuff like that. Your panels kind of ended at first kind of awkwardly. It's like, all right, these people are gonna leave. Go ahead, leave, and get ready for their one-on-ones.
Walk off stage, yeah.
and they'd slowly disappear, and you could see the ones who were not familiar with the software, just like, where do I click? How do I get out of here? And you still have that nowadays, which is amazing to me because like so many people use Zoom. I'm surprised that people are still like, now, how do I do this? Quick aside, I just was sent a video where in a court case, there was a attorney.
The kitten?
Who was the kitten?
Yeah, so good. Yeah.
It's like, wow, that is
hilarious.
That is just amazing.
Well, and funny you bring up kitten on Zoom. I mean, I know we're getting there to like sort of the fun elements of why virtual is so cool and is different than physical cons. And I think that's it. I mean, just the organic nature of them. You know what I mean? That anything could pop up at any time. We've had people with cats, with live cats, with live dogs, children walking through, family members coming in. We had a person, an actor, take a call from their car while driving that we had to ask very nicely to pull over to the side of the road. So, but it's really fun just to see actors like in their element. You see their backgrounds, you see the stuff that's on their walls. And so that's one of the, like, I think positives that have come out of this is just that connection to the like celebs, like as real people. They're not like on the stage, 10 feet up, 20 feet back, in an auditorium of 1,000 people. While I miss that and I crave for that, I crave it and I want it. There is an intimacy of seeing them in their homes, in their places of work, and things like that. So making mistakes, not being able to find the video button. You know what I mean? Like their internet being out, they have the cat filter on by accident. So there's a lot of fun elements that come into play with the virtual stuff.
Oh, I definitely agree. I've enjoyed seeing some of the backgrounds.
Yeah.
And some of them take advantage. The recent Stargate panel, you had Corin Nemec go to a actual comic book shop.
That was awesome.
To do the panel so we could see like rows of comic books. So it kind of gave a little bit of the feeling.
Yeah, for sure.
So what are some of the challenges in putting together these virtual panels and getting guests?
And you mentioned it up front that we've definitely evolved, if you will, like you can see from this very first Supernatural panel to like our most recent Stargate panel, which you so awesomely moderated. You know, that we've gone through different processes and different platforms. And I think that's the biggest thing is like the prep up front. In terms of being ready, having graphics ready, having overlays done and ready, changing information, setting it up on Restream, getting the Zoom link ready, getting it to the broker. You know, it's all that prep work that is important, and we learned ways of making that more efficient and more streamlined and more professional. And so we've done now 100, and we're so close to 200. I think Walking Dead, which will be back for Kyle, is 198. It's gonna be our like official 198th virtual panel, cast panel, which is super cool.
You can't just put two in front, so it's like the big.
I know. We're trying to be honest. We're trying to be honest here. Once we hit that 200th, we'll make a big shebang. It should happen in March. At this rate. There actually was less of a challenge up front in acquiring talent. Well, there's always challenges in acquiring talent. Let's just put that on the table right now. But challenges shifted. And right away, there was the sell, right? There was like, hey, we've got this idea. Come on out, do the free panel. And the second you mention the word free to any broker, manager, or talent, they instantly were like, we're not listening, you know what I mean, to you. You know what I mean? Like, we get paid for this and stuff. And you're like, no, hear me out. It's free for the fans. And you'll be here for 40 minutes giving a free experience for fans that are stuck at home right now with nothing to do, that are missing their virtual cons, that are missing their new content, right? Like there was a drought for a while where there were no new series or seasons coming out except for things that are already filmed. But we said, but you can do these other things, these other paid experiences. So the one-on-one chats, like you mentioned earlier, which is unique to the virtual world, but kind of mimics the idea of like walking up to a table at a physical con. The autographs, which is pretty standard, but you're getting it in the mail. And then the video recorded messages, which again, we all know Cameo, and this is not to throw another competitor out there. It's just, it's a thing that exists. And so once we sort of gave that pitch, there was a lot of talent within our universe at the time. So think about like sci-fi, fantasy, superhero that were like, oh, this is cool. I'm not doing anything either. We're all having, and again, one of the things that I think is unique and a positive thing spin on this whole lockdown was that we were all sharing this experience together. Everyone from, you know what I mean? Like the fan to up to the talent. And so we were all stuck at home, and what a cool way to connect, albeit not physically, but virtually through this medium. And so talent was like, this is great. This is cool. Like, I'm not doing anything. I'm not shooting anything. We're not allowed to shoot anything. And so this is a fun way for me to hop on and either make money or just give back to the fans. A lot of folks have throughout this 198 given proceeds to charity. So it's been like a charity platform for some celebs. There are some that will never do it. Right. Because again, it's like they don't need the like money that comes from it unless it's charity based. There are many that are just so low profile that like coming on, while it would be an interesting conversation, wouldn't necessarily be worth it financially. And again, it always comes down to that at the end of the day. Right. But there's a huge chunk of talent, again, within the verses we're talking about, sci-fi, fantasy, superhero, that it's perfect. It's a perfect setting for folks to meet and hear from their favorite celebrities during this time of not physical cons. So
it makes sense. And that shared experience of the pandemic, I think we start interviews, you start a lot of panels with how's the pandemic been treating you? Because it's where were you when JFK was, or where were you during 9/11? It's the same type of thing that everyone kind of can relate to and has different experiences. And some people have handled it well. Some people are like, just get me out of here. But I've dealt with a few of the managers, but yeah, a lot of them are very money driven. Do you find that with the virtual panels, they're expecting similar money that they were making at like physical ones nowadays?
There was a period, well, not a period, it still happens to this day, but there's a learning curve for sure, because all brokers in town are coming in expecting sort of exactly what they got at a physical convention, and it's just not. It's apples and oranges. You know what I mean? You can't compare them. At a physical convention, we as a entertainment company are paying for travel for talent. We're paying for hotels. We're providing a green room with food. We are busing them back and forth or driving them back and forth. There's a lot of sort of customer care there, or talent care there, in terms of and oftentimes they come in with what we in the business again call guarantees. So they are saying, hey, if I'm going to be there because it's to your benefit that me, Jason Momoa, is at your show, because when Jason Momoa gets announced at your show, your ticket sales are going to go through the roof, and I'm not making money off your ticket sales to get in the door. So you need to guarantee me that I'll make blank dollars, right?
Right.
Or, and we take that risk often as a Comic-Con company. We say, you know what? You're right. You are worth blank dollars, Jason Momoa. We think we're going to make more than that. So we're willing to take the risk, pay you that up front. So there was a lot of that up front, whereas now we are coming and saying, hey, this is a totally different platform. People aren't paying a ticket price to get in. We're offering this panel free as kind of a nice gesture, if you will. And we also don't feel like it's worth any sort of monetary value. It's just like a service that we're providing that we're using essentially as free marketing. You know what I mean? Like those free panels are free marketing. And so that's the free experience that we hope turns into a click to the website to then purchase those experiences. So yeah, I mean, the pushback was, why should my client do a panel for free when they normally would get paid to be there and do the panel, you know what I mean? Or they normally get paid for a live talk or an experience or something like that. So there was that pushback up front. And again, we've, for 198 times, for the most part, been able to translate that into other types of sales for them: autographs, video recorded messages, those other things that they make money at cons.
I think it's kind of difficult to equate a physical con with a virtual one. Totally. At a physical con, they could be there for Thursday through Sunday or Friday through Sunday. So they're for hours sitting there meeting with fans. It doesn't equate in all the ways. Right. And I mean, to me, if I was a big star, if I had a choice between doing a virtual or a physical, it's like the virtual, I can basically Like, I'm not wearing shoes right now. I don't even have to put on shoes to be on Zoom.
Totally.
Where if I'm at a convention center, I'm going to wear shoes because I've seen some of those convention centers. You know, it seems more convenient. And yes, you're not paying for my travel, but I'm also not leaving my family or my 5 cats. Or,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of benefits, I think, to the virtual one that they're like, oh, well, you're not paying all these travel expenses.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, it was so easy for them to just roll out of bed and do these. And so that was part of the positive side of things. Now, what we're running into a little bit is people being back at work, both fans and talent. And so we've had to adjust kind of scheduling wise and how far out we can book something, you know, a lot of those kind of aspects for sure.
Definitely understandable. Now, as we have the rumblings and the light at the end of the tunnel with the vaccines.
Yes.
That we are going to likely, hopefully, maybe it'll be late summer, the fall. We're going to start having physical cons again. What do you think is going to happen with the virtual cons after that?
The short answer is both will continue, at least from Wizard World's perspective. We have already talked about it. We're already planning for it. We can't wait for our first physical con, but we can't commit to one necessarily either. You know, the first one that's announced right now, officially on the page, is Chicago, end of August. And that's our goal. No matter what, we recognize that even if 100% of the population was completely vaccinated and it was 100% proven that you could not get this virus again or whatever, you know what I mean? You're still going to have those people that will feel nervous about attending large group gatherings for a while, I think. Mm-hmm. And we all know it's not going to be 100% and 100%. You know, we hope it's the highest percent we can get. We recognize that we're not going to have this maybe the same attendance that we will, you know? Also, one thing that we've learned over the virtual cons is we are reaching people across the globe that we never would have reached before. You know, we do a con in Chicago. We're going to get anyone who's willing to travel to Chicago. We do a con online. It's boundless, right? It's endless.
Zimbabwe is in the house.
No,
you know?
yeah. I mean, you joke, but we've had, you know what I mean? The Philippines and Australia, New Zealand, and the Middle East and South America, you know, they all tune in, and we jokingly is the wrong word. We ceremoniously shout out all the places people are watching on every time, because that's one of the coolest features. Also, in addition to that, we've had a lot of fans reach out to us more directly that are financially unable to attend cons, physically or unable to attend cons due to different disabilities, that have been like, oh my gosh, I would have never been able to get in a car, drive 6 hours to Chicago and do this. And it's always been sad to me. And it's so great that I get to like get a little taste of the experience. So we recognize that fans are still going to want things online. And so the plan, and I know, Kyle, you factor into this in some sense, because you used to take videos of our panels at the conventions, is to always offer both at the fans. Obviously, there's going to be those people that want the physical experience. Again, you and I both agree that there's nothing better than being in a hall with 1,000 people and your two favorite celebs, you know. There's nothing better than going up to their table and like shaking their hand or giving them a hug or a fist bump or whatever is appropriate at the time. You can take all the screenshots you want, but there's nothing better than a professional photographer taking your photo with a celeb. So there's going to be those people that come back to physical cons, but we still are going to be recording all of our panels, offering a room where a celeb can do their whole photo op session, leave that, and go to a room where we have a professional setup where they can then still hop on with fans around the world for a virtual one-on-one at the same time. So we're going to be offering those in that same space almost equally. And we'll keep both going. That's our plan again as Wizard World. I can't speak for all the cons out there, but that's our plan for sure.
Very cool. Let's take a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk a little bit more about the physical cons and the differences there.
Great.
And so tune into our next video. See you soon. As always, have fun. Follow your fandom. And there's end screen stuff coming up. So you got to do that stuff too. Subscribe,
right. Like. Click the buttons.
All the buttons, not the dislike button. Don't do the dislike button. All right. And we will see you in the next video.